Good evening. Uh, I did a session which was immediately after lunch. That is challenging. I'm doing a session which is the last session, which is equally challenging. So let's make some noise for the cut down panel, please, so we know that you're alive. Thank you so much. Okay. Um, there's always a silver lining to everything that happens. I think we've got a panel which has a few people missing. So the good part of that is our esteemed panelists are going to share more insights and they have more time to talk about their experiences. Just do a quick round of introductions, if we can, starting with you, Ganesh.
No, I just did a presentation. Maybe I'll leave it to others. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Nikhil Bhushan, and I'm leading the IT for Travel Food. For those who don't know, Travel Food is into more of restaurants and lounges, primarily focused at the airports. And invariably, if you ever traveled, you may have consumed at least some service or goods from one of our outlets. And great being here.
Hey, hi, good evening all. I'm Prashant Bokil. I'm working for Metro Brands Limited and I'm heading IT at Metro. I am having total 14 years of experience into the retail domain and many people know me and I know many people as well. Thank you.
Namaste, I am Sujit and I am part of high-end generic medicine organization, DavaIndia, where we work to strive that the country can afford good quality healthcare at an affordable cost. Thank you.
All right, thank you, panelists. What we're going to do is, firstly, just set the tone right. We are talking about BI and analytics, right? So I'd ask each of the panelists to just give us like a 30 to 60 second understanding of what is their concept of analytics in the retail segment. Dr. Would you like to start?
Sure. Let me start with some reality checkpoints that we need to talk. We offer very, very high quality generic medicines. As long as you have body, you need health and you need medicines. So, but when we see the true picture of India, we are truly in a state where even people cannot afford food. I have been on the cutthroat of the rural areas and we have seen. And there is where the story for us comes. So when we talk of artificial intelligence and business analytics, prima facie, the entire network stream that the country is operating at this point of time is what we are trying to mobilize to see how we can make affordable decision towards offering affordable healthcare in the form of primary, secondary, and tertiary, linked with the hospitals, the primary cares, the clinics, and the retail stores that we have in the country, thereby ensuring that people can really get access towards high-quality generic medicine. And that's DavaIndia for us, for you, and for all the Indians that cannot afford expensive medicines for us.
Yeah, in my opinion, retail cannot be complete without analytics. In general, in any retail organization, analytics plays a very vital role because any decision based out of analytics proves to be a very good decision or a fruitful or a profitable decision. Either it can be a production or it can be a sales or it can be any, for that matter, even human resource also. Analytics it plays a very vital role. And yes, now AI is also playing a very vital role into the analytics.
We'll talk more of that, yeah.
So imagining retail without analytics, so analytics, I would rather take a step back. It's a very broad spectrum, right? So it could be as basic as someone mentally trying to recall yesterday's sale to stock them today. Which could be your kirana shop or maybe the local tea stall, right? And to the other extreme of of the organized players where every decision has to be based on some data, right? And ultimately, the volume and the speed at which things have to be processed I mean, you need a really good strategy and analytic platform in place to really help make those decisions. So I don't think any modern retail can really exist without having equally modern analytics engine in place.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, what is the purpose of analytics, right? Purpose of analytics is to take decisions, right? Therefore, I think it's a decision system, and I would put them in maybe three buckets. One is descriptive, which is to say what is so, which is most of your dashboards, and the next one is to say predictive, and then say what could happen, what will be, and the third one is prescriptive, what can I do with it, right? And the last one could be that, take the action itself, right? And I think it's a ladder of analytics and maturity of analytics. One needs to see where you sit there, and I would say a lot of analytics today is what is so, right, which is what is happening, right? And the next ladder in that movement is predictive, which is to say what could happen, and then take prescription from the system. And at the end of it, I would say a simple formula, which is to say all of these analytics is for decisions, and technology can only help in what is called prediction, right? And there is always an element of judgment for decision making. So if I have to put a simple formula to say prediction plus judgment is decision making, right? For what technology does is it can give you what is so, it can help you predict, but judgment is always human. And if it is a super trivial task, you make the machine do the work itself. If it is a high value task and non-trivial, then human judgment is very important. For what I'm trying to say is, without human, you don't take big decisions irrespective of which technology you use. So you always need to validate what's coming out of the engine.
Thanks so much. I've spent a fair amount of my last 15 years talking analytics. So what I'm going to do is also take a stab at answering the same question that I asked you. What I've noticed, and please feel free to chip in, all of you. What I've noticed is very often retailers misinterpret analytics or BI to be synonymous with the technology that actually provides that. So I think one of the first takeaways, if you all agree, I'd like to share with the audience is, please de-link analytics and the technology that serves analytics. I think you've got to decide which is the horse and which is the cart, and always try and put the horse before the cart. So I think it should not say that, okay, I have this technology can do this, and therefore I'll try to achieve this in your business. I think it should be the other way around. Outline your objectives first, right? And then, any technology will probably serve that. So with setting that tone, maybe what I like to go into is ask each of the panelists certain specific questions. Prashant, if I can start with you. Would you like to share with the audience one use case out of the many that you have put in place at Metro Brands, which has given what I would call maximum bang for buck, which has given maximum ROI to the business, and whatever you would like to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I would like to take this question in general for the retail, other than for the brand specific. Being in a listed organization, there are certain restrictions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can put in a generic one.
Yeah, I can answer this question in a generic way. So there are many things that can be analyzed into the retail. Previously, a human has to be put behind any kind of analysis. Now, moving ahead, or at this particular era, there are many things or many kind of analysis can be done via tools like recently introduced ChatGPT. But yes, there were many tools available in past years as well. So whenever it is coming to the use cases, I would like to highlight one very good use cases of a simple CCTV cameras. On the basis of CCTV cameras, previously footfall used to be counted as with a separate device installed onto each stores. But nowadays, we can get the footfall counted with the help of CCTV cameras. Plus, on top of that, even we can get some more insights like the exact time spent into the particular area or a space, so that the heat analysis or heat map analysis was on a different tool altogether used for analyzing the customer journey within the store or within the sales area. Now that also can be leveraged with the help of CCTV. So ultimately, previously we were dealing with a couple of IoT devices like a footfall device, heat analysis devices. Now everything is shifted to the CCTV analytics, and we can get more fruitful insights, like even we can have images or photocopies of a blacklisted persons within that particular mall to provide the theft kind of things, so that it's in a more insightful probably analytical tool is available. So I would like to just highlight this tool as an today's era's advanced analytics, I will say. And in future, yes, definitely right now there is a human behind it, but moving ahead, definitely AI and ML will definitely help us out and make some more insightful reports. Thank you.
So, Prashant, I think great point you bring up in this use case. Typically, instead of answering the outcome that the business would have gained, you've brought to light one of the key questions that I had for the panel subsequently, which is that while I spoke about putting the objective before you start really building a solution, the second step in that, after you put the objective, is I think what Ganesh mentioned in his keynote, that do you have the data to analyze, right? So the point that you mentioned today is the means of data capture have gotten so much more advanced than what it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago. I think that is giving rise to the possibilities of so many new use cases, which we probably would not even think about 5 years ago, right? Especially in the space of heat map
Yes.
data capture, image processing, which has
Yes.
become lightning fast, right?
Right.
Which gives you
Right.
ability to harness that data.
Right.
Super, great. Nikhil, if I can go to you next, right? Now, you work with a variety of sub-verticals in retail. You have hospitality, restaurants, which is food. You have retail, right? You also work with a combination of national and international brands. So, how do you handle this issue, since we were on data, how do you handle the issue of seamless data integration together? Because while there is data, unless it is intelligently brought together, I think you're starting on the wrong note.
No, absolutely. And in fact, the first thing to get right is for any, I would say business and initiative, is to identify the purpose, right? So what we really need the data for, right? And then obviously having the right architecture and the right data governance in place, that becomes imperative. Like you rightly said, we'll deal with a lot of international brands who have their own policies and security aspects around data, GDPR being one example. So we certainly don't want to end up consuming something which we are not supposed to. At the same time, we also want to provide in fact, being in when the Indian markets, it's the other way around, where we have to give an equal level playing field to our international brands, because it cannot be entirely dominated by by the local brands. So yes, I mean for that again we need to analyze a lot of data, right? So the whole I would say the best way of approaching and the way we deal with it is, yes, I mean getting the basics right. That is identifying who is the data owner, what is the data governance, the security around it, and then of course building a robust, I mean irrespective of the technology, right? I mean at the end of the day, what you need is a robust data platform which consumes a lot of, let's say different varieties of data. I mean it could be structured, unstructured, because we also do a lot of not social listening, but we do some scraping around the hashtags where our brands are mentioned. So I mean it could be as unstructured as someone just saying okay and again with all due respect, I mean with the Indian context, a lot of time people mean something else. I mean a thumbs up could be both good or bad, right?
And the sarcasm involved, right?
And
so
the
bringing the
sarcasm.
context out of
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's where a lot of intelligence and experience of the platform really comes in, to really give you the right picture. Otherwise, like, you will probably end up with something like, analyzing something which you really don't intend to. So that's certainly like, one of the aspects that we keep. Please.
Sorry to intervene in between. I would like to add one point here. So the question is, do we have data? So yes, we do have data. How to use it smartly, that is up to us. That is still lying with the human brain till date. Okay. So in general, in generic retail, we have data in what we can say, piles of data is available. For any point of sale, normally customers' details are available. So if we can integrate that into a what we can say CDP platform or customer data platform and utilize it on a 360-degree platform, so that we can have a complete 360-degree availability of the customer or the views or insights of the customer, including social media, and nowadays online sales is also boosted up. So we are having definitely customer insights, so we can get that also used. So data, yes, we do have data. How to use it smartly, that is again a very big or a key question. I would that means it's in my opinion that is a big question or big task.
So thanks for that, because Prashant, that probably gets me to get the mic back to Ganesh. Ganesh, you and I deal with similar challenges. We help retailers on their analytics journey, right? Prashant just mentioned one of the key challenges that I'm sure you faced is helping customers strategize what to do with data, right? So would you like to talk to us about some of the things that you have done uniquely as a value proposition out of the data analytics?
Yeah, if I ask people in the audience, do you have shortage of data? You have actually too much of data. You don't know what to do with the data. The second side or the first side? Too much of data, and data is exponentially increasing, right? Now, I think what is important is the business question than anything else, right? Start with the right question, right? Are we asking the right question? In fact, we had recently large brands from Europe. The first time we heard a customer giving problem statement. In fact, they started the entire stuff by saying, here is my business problem. Guys, come and pitch. Very interesting way of solving a problem, right? Typically, you take a solution and then say, okay, this is what my solution can do, and then see if there is a fit, etc. But they gave 6-7 problem statements, and I just want to share some of the high-level generic problem statements, right? One of the questions they had was, are we planning our category strategy properly? In other words, and it's a large brand, multi-billion-dollar brand, asking this question with so much of data, right? Multi-country operation. Am I making the right product mix? Am I under betting on bottoms, and am I making more dresses? Am I making less of tops? That's a question, right? And I have a lot of data, but the data that I have cannot answer some of these questions. I'll give you an example. There's a customer of us in Middle East, and they said, we have an intuition that we are making less of bottoms, but we are not sure. For example, and then we came back, we studied the market and went back to them through data and then say, market can absorb 31% bottoms and you're doing 20% bottoms. 10% absolute change in bottoms is possible in your market, but we are not sure whether you want to move overnight from 21 to 31. Now, how much ever you analyze your own data, the 21 will remain 21, because 21 will become 22, 23 or 19, right? Therefore, my question is, start with the business question, which is to say, am I doing my category strategy assortment mix correctly? If it's a product level decisions, or for example, you ask this question to say, what are the opportunities for us, right? We always want to grow business, right? Every business wants to grow, right? For one of the growth questions could be, are there opportunities in the market that we are not capitalizing enough? How many of you would like to ask this question always? Are there opportunities in the market, right? Now, therefore, always you ask this opportunity. Now, the question is, opportunities don't reflect in your data all the time. To some extent, yes, because you know where to press the accelerator. Some of your metrics are very good, which means that you have some white space already. But significant white spaces don't come from internal data, right? Again, my first thing is ask the right questions. And the second is to say how to solve this problem can sometimes be with your own data for sure. In many cases, you can also use alternate data. While we all think we have more data, but the question here is, in my previous presentation I was sharing, that your data is a small portion of the universe. And I was asking a lot of you, what's your market share? Very few businesses have single digit market share. Most of our businesses are, for example, India fashion market alone is like 150,000 crores. If you are a brand with 4,000 crores, you know what's your market share, right? For where is the information sitting? The information is outside the company, not inside the company. Your data is super important, but you can also augment that data with alternate. And today, solutions are available. And maybe 10 years back, right, only your data is the best, but today, there are a lot of data available from the outside. So I would ask you, after asking the business question, then say what data set will help me, then bring all the technologies, right? It's first the data, it's the business question, then the data, then the technologies. If that data size is so large, then technologies like AI help, right? AI for the sake of AI doesn't, as a company, we use so much of data. We have, 17 billion impressions of data as we speak. Every week we collect 500 million data points. Now, so much of data point you cannot process unless you have, capabilities on vision, text, all of that, right? And hence we use AI, been AI native since inception. So I think not getting driven by technology, but some of the problems can be solved by statistical models, right? I just want to say that, not all solutions should direct us to AI, right? For some of the questions can be solved by simple arithmetics, then statistical models, then ML and AI. I'm sure we're going to debate more about ML and AI very soon.
Great, thanks for that. And since we're talking about data, Dr. Sujit, maybe a question to you. You have a very unique value proposition with DavaIndia, and we'd like to ask you whether Zota Healthcare came first or DavaIndia came first, but one's your manufacturing outfit, and the other one is the retail outfit, which is also serving a larger QSR perspective. Now, the DavaIndia, if I understand right, is bringing a lot of the rural India into the scope of affordable medicine. So since we're talking about data capture at this point, are there specific challenges that you have faced in terms of data capture, or even serving analytics to a section that most of us sometimes are blinded and not aware of, which is called rural India?
There are two parts of your question. The first part is whether Zota came first or DavaIndia came first. Zota is the parent organization and DavaIndia is a subset of it. So answer is Zota came first. The second part of the question is a very, very depth-oriented question, because you need to understand how Indian healthcare economics actually works out of that. So for any data, so I'll bifurcate my answer into two parts. Also to explain to you on a used case, how it is actually handled by a pharma retail like us. So pharma retail is a very, very complex arena where for a specific medicine, for example, paracetamol could be used for multiple purposes. And when you actually work on a heat map ratio, you don't exactly could figure out where a paracetamol was used, whether it was used for a fever or whether it was used for something else. Just for the ease of understanding molecule, or maybe meropenem or piperacillin tazobactam. Meropenem is typically a drug that is used post-hospitalization into any surgeries. So when we work on the data part of it, so it's very interesting for you to understand that if a patient gets out from the hospital, and then the patient would definitely need a 3 month of medicines for them. So there is where you actually integrate the entire ecosystem. Now, assuming that it's a birth that have happened, the mother and the child both needs medicines. Now, when you work on the complexities of that, then you know that okay, based on this medications, this could be the follow-up medications as well. So there is a huge rotation of data that comes through. However, the tricky part here is that, unlike my other fellow colleagues, we neither want nor we should oversell. So for the other fellow colleagues, they would love to oversell the products, but neither we are authorized legally to oversell, nor we should oversell. If it's a cardiac patient, you can't say that, whilst we understand that you're a cardiac patient, why don't you take extra cardiac medicines? That can lead to fatal outrages. So you must understand that for every industry, the usage of data have to be in much different ways. whilst AI is coming very fast, we are operating on big data, but that's not all. Indian ecosystem needs mathematical jurisdiction to understand that everything will not be routed through AI, at least at this point of time. And that's very important to understand. When I was meeting my other fellow colleagues during the lunchtime, that's exactly what I was explaining. That if you understand the prognosis journey of how the Indian healthcare moves, how the buying pattern of the end patient moves, it is also through the mean median of the sigma delta that actually captures when you operate on a CDP or operate on a heat map ratios. And there is where you must understand that if a patient is, say, orthopedic patient, and you know that the patient needs, or the patient have done TKR or THR, say a knee replacement or a hip joint replacement, then the patient needs specific orthopedic medicines. And along with that, what are the substitutes that you can give to ensure that the healing is faster, that the curing is faster. So there is where the opportunity of data comes to us. And there is where we can recommend, but we can only recommend unless a physician actually prescribes. We cannot force a patient to take it. Now that's a tricky part between the writer part of mine and what we do.
So one thing is clear, one of the use cases you definitely cannot use is the upsell opportunity.
And neither we want to.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is very interesting. It's a completely different dimension. While the analytics may tell you what is the right next dose to prescribe or medication to prescribe, it still holds you back, and you cannot do it unless the doctor really decides. So is there some kind of an ecosystem that is in place, or you're planning to put in place, where these learnings out of which medication actually made a substantial difference post a surgery or whatever is available to what we would call in typical retail to the point of purchase, which is your doctor. Right?
So there are two parts of it. One is that generic medication is becoming a story in India, like what it have already become a story in the other parts of the world. It commands close to around 79 to 82% of the market share of US, UK, or parts of Europe. But for us, it's very, very low. Now understanding that, we are working.
So, doctor, if I can just interrupt, for the benefit of the larger audience, could you just help define in one sentence what you mean by generic medication? I mean, I read a bit about it before I met you.
Sure. So generic medicines is nothing but the molecule that we talk about. So what is molecule? For example, for the ease of understanding, I will give two examples. One is a very simple one, like paracetamol. Paracetamol is a molecule. The brands of paracetamols could be multiple paracetamols that you get. The dosage could be in any form, whether it's 500,000, 600. Infusion could be in any form, oral, tablet, capsule, etc. That's usually a common example that all of you can correlate. Say, for example, meropenem. Meropenem is a molecule which is usually used post-operative in an IP patient. So meropenem can have multiple brands which are used. So generic medicines is nothing but the molecules. So you have the end consumer or the patient have a wide range of opportunity to pick and choose which brand they want to. So that's what
basically,
it is.
If I have fever, instead of going to a pharmacy and saying I'd like Dolo or Crocin, or maybe paracetamol, DavaIndia is kind of selling paracetamol without a brand.
Absolutely. Okay. And there is where a huge advantage of cost is what the end patient gets. Now imagine the revolution of healthcare that it gets. Of course, the government of India is working very, very closely with it, but that's the change that India is undergoing at this point of time in healthcare. Imagine a cardiac patient, a diabetic patient, whose average bill easily for a branded medication every single month goes to 5, 6, 7,000 easily. You will understand. For generic medication, it can be as good as 1,500 or 1,600 rupees. Imagine the kind of savings. And that is the revolution that India is undergoing.
So, sorry, I cut you short. You were saying whether this intelligence that you mine is getting served back to the doctors in any form at this moment?
No, it's primarily the end consumers. And consumers are increasingly becoming aware of what they should. For example, if a consumer is consuming chronic medication of either cardio, gastro, peds, nephro, it could be anything. So the consumer knows that it's the same molecule that I can take. And then the consumer goes back to the doctor And then they say, hey, it's the same molecule, why I can't use it? Yeah. So it's a reverse pressure that's coming, and fortunately, COVID have made people understand the usage of using Google and so on and so forth. So the moment you type the brand name, you can clearly find out what molecule it is, and consumers are becoming much more intelligent today, and they are realizing it's time for change.
Superb.
Just want to pitch in on
Yes.
the medical analogy. I'm not an expert, but just want to bring that to analytics, which is to say, we heard about this analogy of painkillers and vitamins, right? Which one do we use the most? Most frequently? Painkillers.
Ganesh, depends on what's the age of the person answering the question. Sorry.
Even otherwise, and we consume more painkillers than
Definitely.
vitamins, right? Now, I think, for example, if I have to bring to retail business, the painkiller equivalent is give a discount when a product doesn't sell. Solve the problem right now, today, kill it. Now, the point here is, on a consistent basis, you are killing the business, right? I'm sure there is enough, you keep on, liver gets spoiled, whatever, as a common man, read a lot. Now, the question here is to say, are you using analytics for preventive? Are you using analytics for just, here and now firefight? Okay, I think that moving to preventive is always helpful.
Ganesh, that's a very, very large story. Very large story, and it's a very, very deep, time-taking generation exercise. I'll tell you why. Now, whenever we go out of the country, we find large pharmacy chains selling too much of preventive. We find, people popping up 6-7 pills at the breakfast of multiple different kind of vitamins. Of course, if you go to any of the DavaIndia stores, you will get all sorts of vitamin supplements, so on and so forth. But please understand, the transition of understanding of what is right and what is wrong, India is at least 10 years behind that.
Got it.
And that is the truth. We have worked in depth of Indian urban and Indian rural. We have seen this very, very closely. And we understand that even if someone wants to get into a methylcobalamin, just an example, it's nothing but vitamin B12. So if you consume vitamin B12, that does not mean that you do not need to get into other medications. So typically, on the journey of healthcare mapping, globally, if you see the indexes, it does take at least 2 generations for the transition in totality from a preventive, reactive, and a vice versa mode.
Got it. No, absolutely. So
Yeah.
that was what I was trying to say is to ensure that you are using your data to take proactive actions in the business, just not reactive, because reactive is going to bleed a lot of money. And how do you bring predictive actions, right? And of course, I'm reading one book called Outlive, which is on lifespan. In fact, there's a very interesting analogy which is coming there it's just a perspective. We all think that we will grow old and die, right? Because that's clear. But there is a perspective called aging is a disease. Imagine we consider aging is a disease and disease can be cured, which means you can extend your lifetime. Now, I hear and I learn a lot from that to say, how do we adopt this to business? You can extend the life cycle of your products, you can extend the life cycle of your customers, whatever it is, right? Now, you can extend it by taking a lot of actions which are very painful today. Now, what I'm trying to say is, there are a lot of actions. See, going to gym is super, right? Anything in excess is bad, but let's say, for example, workout is very good, right? Workout is not easy. For a lot of analytics projects, we think, yeah, we start today, I want ROI today. It doesn't happen like that. So I think you just need to have some patience, have that business objectives, take those hard calls today. It may be painful. For example, getting the data cleaned is very important in any analytics project. Right now, that's painful. It's like sweeping the floor in data science. People say AI and all of that, right? AI is all about data, 80% data, 20% model. So how do we ensure that we take patiently all of those calls so that the outcomes of these exercises are, the return on investments pay
Sure.
off?
And that is something that is across industry, including.
Yeah, and I'll
medical
add on to Ganesh. Unfortunately, when we see the cut, we find that people talk about AI, but most people don't understand AI. Most people extrapolate advanced Excel as AI, and that is what is going out in the market. No, that's not AI. That's just a predictive data point of Excel. Now, unless that's exactly what I was trying to say, we need to really get matured in terms of understanding the actual execution of AI will be, which only happens once you have a data refinement and once you know who is actually your target customer. If you can't correlate both, then it doesn't work.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Dr. Sujit, you got me to my next question. There is a lot of buzz around data science, AI, ML, right? And, we've got Ganesh here who practices a lot of all of these. Ganesh, can you help differentiate for the audience and all of us, where does ML and AI overlap and where are they different? And what are the use cases, for example, between these? Because there is a whole lot of misconception going around.
Yeah, I can actually try and make it at the layman's language, right? Which is AI is an umbrella, right? Under AI, artificial intelligence, under AI there are lots of divisions, right? Machine learning is one of them. Deep learning is another subdivision of AI, and then you have computer vision, and related stuff, right? So AI is an umbrella technology, but let's make it very simple. Let's say imagine there is a baby and is trying to learn language. How does a baby pick up language? For example, let us say the baby is touching a chair, the mother or father will say, "A chair ko pakdo," or hold the chair. Now 2-3 times he or she does it, she picks up this language called, this item is called chair. Next time you ask, where is chair? Pick up, right? It can be apple or whatever that is. Exactly this is what machine learning is all about. Machine learning is basically, it's almost like training a kid. Throw images, throw text, and keep on saying these are all trees, right? Or this is cat and this is dog, right? Throw a lot of images and tell this is X and that is Y. And it starts to pick up, and this is called supervised learning, where you train the model by throwing a lot of data. So what is the raw material for this entire technology? What are you throwing to this model? Data. Imagine this, we say that AI, all of that, right? Therefore, raw material of this entire AI is, for we talk about ChatGPT and various stuff. ChatGPT is full of repository of text that it has got. For if it has got the right text, it will have got some outcome, right? So there is a model play there. There is a big role of what that model was trained with. So just to make it very simple, therefore it's basically throwing later. In fact, in typical coding, before AI, what was there? We code, right? Coding is basically that you say 1 plus 2 equal to 3. You feed 1, you feed 2 and feed the operator plus, the code gives a result called 3. In AI, it's very different. Where you throw the data, the program is generated by the model. There is no programming at all, right? Therefore, it's basically that it's the reverse of it. Program is written. That's why AI coding, few lines of code, huge amount of data, right? And therefore, it is almost like growing a plant, right? You put the soil, which is all the data, and ensure that it is clean and nurtured well, the plant grows. The plant is actually the algorithm, right? So now how does practical applications of this, right? For example, if you are in retail, you might be selling any category. You might be selling a laptop, you might be selling a fashion item or whatever it is. Imagine that for every product, you need to key in attributes for your customers to purchase. If you go to your PDP page, every product has got attribute, right? This is the shirt collar, this is the color, etc. Now that's a lot of manual work. Imagine you trained an AI model throwing a lot of these products and told that model that each one of these means this. Today the model can generate auto tagging of these products. Now you have automated the entire tagging process, right? Your data got generated. For here is a workflow automation use case. Now many of the websites that you have seen, right? You're seeing a dress and you want to shop similar products. So you have a small icon there, shop similar. Shop similar is a computer vision technology where it looks at this image and goes and checks which are the similar images. For similarity, right? So it compares. Now you can compare images. It helps you see choices of your preference very, very fast. Otherwise you have to keep on browsing and finding out, right? For your shopping time comes down. How do you help the consumer, right? From a text version, right? For example, in the generative AI context, you're asking a question, it finds out an answer. Now, what it is working through is a large repository of language. It's called large language models, and it gives you a response from the text that it has got trained with. Basically, it's all about data. Therefore, whenever you use any of these technologies, right, whether for that's what I'm saying in the hierarchy first, if your Excel sheet can solve a problem comprehensively, use that, no problem. If your data is becoming bigger, unmanageable through that, and if you want to get into the next level, which is you can use statistical models, and if you have enough data where you want to now combine this data with market data and make it big, then you use AI models to help do it. Now, most of AI is used for prediction. You use AI for prediction, not to see what it is today. You predict. For example, even an image prediction is a prediction. For example, if you just throw my image, it can actually tell me saying that I'm wearing a t-shirt and the t-shirt is round neck, it is half sleeve, all of that you can find out from the image itself, right? And with this, what can happen is you can generate a lot of data at scale, at speed. And when you have a lot of good quality data, you can do all of the analytics. And where are the prediction possibilities? Number one is you want to predict, you want to make a range of products and you want to predict how good it will sell in the future. You can predict demand of the products into the future so that you can decide how much order I should place on these products. For you are minimizing the risk on inventory, right? And you can even find out from market what kind of products that I should be even making, right? What are the trend ideas, etc. For those are the use cases that we should develop irrespective of whichever category that you operate. We have a customer in the US where we help them with an use case which is very interesting, which is to say, I have a store in New York and can you tell me what are the opportunities within 5-kilometer radius of my store? Looking at my competition and tell me what changes I should make. For today, with all of this technology that we have, we can go and collect information at a hyper-local level and enable a retailer take hyper-local decisions on improving their business in terms of revenue opportunity and in terms of inventory and bottom line.
Superb. Thanks for that, Ganesh. Nikhil, question to you. You are on this panel where one of the categories that you work with is in the food business, where perishables and expiry dates are, a key factor. So, you have a use case that you'd like to share with us on how do you, look at that as a constraint and help business with analytics to circumvent some of the challenges that come with that.
Sure. So, obviously, for the business, you really need to have, the optimum inventory at the, at the right time, at the right place. So, you don't want to overproduce, especially perishables, and you don't want to even underproduce, because either of the scenarios is, going to be a revenue loss. Now, fortunately for me, as when I have joined the organization, we already had some learning from the past where we were not relying purely on the instincts. It was more on some form of data, maybe Excel's historical sales and the seasonal or seasonality of the trends. But yes, I can only imagine it must typically, and especially in the food industry, it's the chef who takes a call, assuming that what is going to sell and what is to be produced. Of course, there are then the hyperlocal nuances, whether in Mumbai there'll be a specific type of food preferences vis-a-vis compared to maybe Delhi or any other location. So while yes, what the chef is doing, and in the hindsight, it's nothing but again analytics, but mental analytics, right? I mean, they are in fact using the world's most powerful engine, which is the human brain, trying to take some historical references, trying to go with some instincts, and then produce the goods. Unfortunately, it may or may not be accurate. So that's where we fall back a lot onto our data analytics. So very simply, let's say if I take a food category of of the bakery items, typically the end-to-end life cycle is not more than 12 hours. Assuming it takes 2-3 hours for the logistics and other stuff. So the actual sellable time is maybe limited to maybe 7 to 8 hours. Now I have to make sure that and when we're talking of even a single location maybe Mumbai, where we have 40 outlets, few of them may have similar items, right? So we have to make sure, like, there's enough quantity which is to be sold at all those locations. At the same time, yes, I mean, like, it cannot be overproduced just to go stale and, like, to go and scrap. Now, again, fortunately for us, because we have, one is, like, we've done a lot of standardizations. Of course, there are different brands and there are different, variances to the core produce. But yes, I mean, many times we try to see the commonalities and try to shift the maybe, like, type of production that we need to do. So if in case product A and product B are having, let's say, 50-60% as a common base, basis a holistic view of, like, what is getting consumed, and of course the point of sale being the, like, the heart of the system, which keeps on, like, providing us with the real-time data of, like, what is there on the shelf. Of course, we have the ERPs and the, like, the analytics sitting on top of it, which can, like, then learn and really, like, see whether I can move from A to B, or, like, maybe stop both of the productions because I'm already having it at some other store within the same premises. And that's where, of course, like, I mean, that unique advantage of, like, scale also comes in place. It's much more difficult for, let's say, a standalone restaurant, or maybe, like, a small setup at a location like an airport, which typically, I mean, barring Mumbai, all other airports are, like, pretty far from the city, right? So you can't even have a, let's say, like, something which is going to be just in time. So yes, I mean, like, we are leveraging a lot of, like, data insights to really look at the, like, the type of production that we do, and then, of course, continuously monitor it. And the whole ecosystem is, like, where there's a feedback mechanism as well, right? So in case we still end up, like, maybe overproducing or underproducing, there is a root cause done. I mean, it could be as simple as, like, someone not punching in.
Yeah.
Right, and especially in the lounges, if you see, right, I mean, and this is a very unique example that we came out, and it was only so data was there, right, and data analytics was running, but it was not giving us a result what we really wanted. And that's where the human intervention and intelligence really comes in. So when we really deep dived, we found that during the peak hours, if you see the lounge, like, there's a lot of queuing which happens. Right, so essentially it is like, people trying to swipe multiple cards, seeing which one is valid to really enter. So instead of, like, doing the entire SOP, maybe someone smartly, to increase business, took a shortcut and started directly, like, taking the EDCs and did the punching maybe, like, a couple of hours later. Now what happened because of that, my point of sale was realizing a shift in the type of peak hours which were, like, apparently there. And
So basically, the SOP got violated. Right?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
That just put everything out of.
So that's where, that's, again, like, you do the root cause, you find out, and then fine tune your system to really, like, absorb these type of anomalies.
Thanks. Prashant, one question to you, very interesting when I was talking to you earlier. You mentioned that the experience you've had with analytics specifically is the business asking for more and more, and you running the IT department sometimes struggling to keep pace, right? Obviously, there is a genuine reason for that. Would you like to talk something about that in terms of where was the mismatch between the expectations of the business and the delivery of the IT? Sometimes the business gets ecstatic about an idea that they want, but there is a lot of work required to, actually deliver. So maybe you can talk about that.
Sure. So basically, there are many requirements popped up from the business, and that can be sorted out or fulfilled with the help of basic analytics, like co-panelists already shared that with the help of simple mathematical usage, it can be fulfilled. But there are many really insightful requirements are being asked by the business, which may not be solved immediately, but yes, that can be definitely a challenging kind of requirements keeps coming on. Like any organization may have or might have multiple data sources or multiple channels wherein data is being pumped in. To rightly said by Ganesh also, data hygiene is a very important part of it. Unless and until your data is clean or hygiene properly, it is of no use, or the right output cannot be delivered with the help of incorrect or improper data.
Yeah,
So,
in fact, it would be more misleading, right?
yeah, definitely. That will be a totally 180-degree kind of misleading information might be produced. So, data hygiene is one more factor. So, post that, many of the requirements still cannot be fulfilled, like predictive analysis, the way business wants, rightly mentioned by Ganesh, that that data is not residing inside the organization. Many of the metrics are outside the organization. So getting that data also, that is again a one challenging part. On top of that, there are many other datas whenever it is coming towards a customer behavior or analysis of a customer behavior. That is again a challenging part, because in the VUCA world, the total metrics has gotten changed to 180 degrees. The customer who used to buy only offline are now buying only online. So this type of total different stories are coming up. So previously the way or uh, 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 the metrics defined in a one way, now we have to again remodified or rethink or re-engineer the entire metrics, all dimensions, everything. Data is the same, but the requirements are changing.
Sure. No, thanks. Great. Dr. Sujit, one last quick question before we throw it open. Value is a very big mission driver, I think, for both Zota and DavaIndia. Can you shed some light on how that value gets driven with, some tech behind it, or with, if analytics can be a driver for that value?
Yeah, sure. I think for us as an organization, value is a very, very strong fundamental thing that we have and we are driving. Now, very few organizations I find who actually believes in a value-based organization. Organizations usually operate on a financial number-based organizations. Okay, this should be the turnover. This should be what your quarter one number should look like. This should be what quarter two number should look like. But at DavaIndia, typically what we do is that the entire organizational bloodstream rotates through values. When you connect it with technology, how it works is that to the end patient or consumer, how you can actually give the right kind of medicine, the right kind of dosage that is only required for them and not oversell is what drives the value. For example, there are many, many retail chains in the country. If you go and ask them half a strip of medicines, they will give you a full strip of medicines. That's not what value is about. Yes, your turnover is increasing. Your top lines are going up. But you are also selling much more than what you're supposed to sell to the end patient, which is incorrect. There is where the value comes. We operate a huge plethora of section with patient integration across all the therapeutic segments, driven on a very, very strong perspective of the analytics and machine learning, because we have a predictive learning engine been built around it. For example, if someone is diabetic, then on that diabetic, along with medications, what are the other things that is actually needed to ensure that the patient gets well soon? So that is the value for the end patient. If someone is an orthopedic patient, if someone have a knee problem, then it's not only the medication that should go. It's something more than that. Now that's not upselling. That's what is needed for the end patient, because the cost is much lower. For example, at market, if the cost is 100 rupees MRP, or the same cost is some 20 rupees MRP. So that's the kind of difference. It's 80% difference. So there is where you drive value. And when we operate on value, we are working extremely hard with the rural India primarily to ensure that they get affordable medicines, what is required, because there is where the pain lies. People have fever, they don't have money to buy medicines. Imagine the pain. If you have a stomachache, you don't have money to have a pill, what a pain it is. Now there is where you integrate technology on that, and that's an amazing journey going through.
So very interesting. traditional retail or what we all engage in besides you, uh, every organization has certain KPIs that are thresholds or targets that they put in as part of the budget. Since value is one of the core drivers, I do you have KPIs with which you measure value at the end of the day? Or end of the
Trust
year?
me, at the end of the day, if consumers or patients buy more medicines, your numbers are met.
Superb.
So it's
Very,
a
very
reverse
well
way
managed.
out.
Yeah, superb, excellent.
It's absolutely a reverse way out. So see, any organization across the world, if you look only on financial numbers, you don't build organizations. You just build a company. It may be a large company with turnover, but that's not what we aspire for. We are very, very poised. That's what I said at the onset, that we aspire to build an organization that will drive people to have medicines get well. Now, it's a big mission. It's not easy when you actually work against big giants to make more healthy India on an urban and rural scale. It's not easy. But when people buy medicines, what they need, you are basically eating off from the same pie. And there is where your financial KPIs are met.
Superb. Thank you for that. Yes, go ahead,
Niraj,
Nikhil.
if I can just add, I mean, see, any data and value for that matter, or ultimately, it needs to bring in two things. One is differentiation, and the other is competitive advantage. Right? I mean, if you don't have either of these two things, there will be end of the day, someone I mean, you are not probably, and not value is again becomes subjective, but data, how it really enables you to get these two things correct. I think that is of paramount importance, because ultimately the same data may be accessed by many other players, and how you said, I mean,
But
the data.
most organizations don't talk about it. In our quarter reviews, the first thing is, what have you done different in the consumer's mind? How many consumers have you relieved? How many patients have you relieved from pain? That's the first discussion. Then we talk on numbers.
So, I
So
think
that's your
That's a
differentiation.
great KPI, right?
Then we talk on numbers. And every single employee, till the last mile, talks only on this jargon. They don't talk only on financial numbers. They do talk on financial numbers, but that's followed.
No,
Oh, great.
I actually resonate. I think even in, if you bring it to retail, the question is that, AI for good. Now, see, I think we talk about a lot of economic benefits of all this analytics, which is, I would say, economic sustainability. I think if you just look at environmental sustainability as an angle, are we doing good for the planet? Because, for example, over consumption. See, I think there are cases. I think it talked about so much about this brand called Patagonia. Patagonia actually undersells than oversells. In fact, conscious consumption, right, which is coming up, saying that are we, there are a lot of movements against fast fashion, which is to say we are pushing so much to the consumer that they feel like buying, right? So we are generating more consumption, which is driving, I would agree, to economic stuff, but I think it's also making the planet worse. Carbon footprint and all of that. I think overall, using analytics to, I would say, less is more, right? Can we actually have the economic benefits by selling less, selling the right stuff, making the right way, making in the right quantity, reaching to the right customer? Because wastage is in every one of these value chain gaps, right? From supply to demand. And if you do that, and I think medical, I think it's a great analogy today. I very rarely get to see a doctor on the panel, and I think a lot of learning as fellow panelists.
I have exactly 2 minutes. Does anybody in the audience have one question that we can take? Yes, why not? Could you just introduce yourself, name and company, and
Hello.
then ask the question?
Yeah, my name is Smith. I basically from Techsperts India Private Limited. My question is, does unsupervised data can be used for supervised learning, and if yes, then how?
Okay. Any of the panelists
No,
want to
absolutely.
take
I
that
think,
up?
if you see, first of all, if you are using consumer data, you want to do something with that, which is to say, for example, if you're running a D2C business yourself, then AI can help cluster these customers, right? If you have a lot of customers, you can group the customers. It's a clustering algorithm to find out which consumers are similar. Like we said, which dresses are similar. You can group the customers and then show products which are relevant to their taste, which can help in personalization, right? So it can help you in terms of showing the right stuff to them so that, you increase, if you from an economic perspective, increase your conversion funnel. So that's one way to use consumer data. And if you show the right stuff to them, they will buy and they will not return, for example, right? Minimize your returns, show the right products. All of those metrics can get impacted.
Okay, means basically involving the a priori algorithm in a likely to be purchased way.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use that to predict
Yeah,
what
correct.
is this consumer likely to purchase. If I have something, what are relevant for them.
By grouping it by age group or something like choice or like gender wise or something.
Using all the data that you have about the customer,
Correct,
whatever data you can use without revealing their privacy, then you can use all of that to cluster and personalize. The idea is all of these AI algorithm is a matchmaker.
Yeah.
If you just see, that's what it does. Consumer on one side, product on the other side, keep on making matches. Right? Better algorithm is better matchmakers.
In the end, even the AI, right, the large umbrella that we talk about, has a human being putting his brains behind it, right, and
Absolutely.
getting that going. So with that, I'd like to call a close to this session. Heartfelt thanks to everybody on the panel. Thank you for sharing your views. It has been
Thank you very
amazing.
much.
Thank you so much. And like we'd say, 3 seconds to go. Happy to close on time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done.